Claire stood in the service bay of Outpost Ridge and listened to the wind. It was the kind of wind that pressed hard like a hand against the doors. She checked the power cells and the seals and told herself to be calm. She had work to do, and a long, cold night ahead. In the far side of the bay, a figure moved behind a cargo crate. Tall, quiet, graceful, with skin like dusk and a faint glow like moonlight after rain, the alien woman was called Arian by the translators. She had arrived 3 days ago. With a trade envoy now, the storm had closed the valley, and the envoy was gone. Only the outpost crew remained, and most of them were stuck in other wings. Claire called out with a steady voice and asked if Arian needed shelter. No answer came because the wind swallowed sound and the alarms sang in the rafters. So Claire raised a hand and invited her closer. Arian stepped into the light with eyes like deep water. She looked strong, but tired like a runner. Near the final bend, deck lights dimmed, and the floor trembled. Claire checked the console and saw the pressure drop in the west locks. She cursed under her breath and moved to the panel. Arian followed and watched with careful focuses. Silver band at Arian's throat pulsed like a heartbeat. The translator chip blinked and then spoke in a soft tone. "Season of pairing," declared the device in a flat voice. "Right of choosing is upon me." Claire paused and felt the air tighten around her. She had seen the cultural notes but had not expected this day to come. With the storms breathed slow and kept her tone simple and kind. "You are safe here," she said, and she gestured to the warm storage room. Arian lifted her chin as if weighing a path in the dark. Her hands were steady, but her shoulders shook the way a tree shakes when wind climbs through Ithstorm advanced vents. Howled snow hammered the roof like a drum from an ancient world. Lights flickered in the emergency heater. Coughed. Claire sealed the bay doors with manual clamps and pulled blankets from a crate. She handed one to Arian and draped another over her own shoulders. Translator murmured again, "The season drives the body and the heart. It is not battle and not frenzy. It is a turning of tide. It is a vow and an anchor." Arian looked at Claire with a searching gaze, like a sailor reading stars. When clouds begin to part, Claire remembered her training: respect first, listen second. Do not judge what you do not yet know. She nodded and made a small space near the heater. With rations, water, and tools, Arian sat with straight posture and set her palms on her knees. She spoke in her own tongue, and the device gave gentle phrases. "I must choose a guardian and a witness. Someone to stand near while the season passes. Someone to speak when I cannot find steady words. Someone to anchor me to patience. When the tide is strong." Claire heard the word choose and felt a thread pull behind her ribs. She also heard guardian, witness, anchor, and she understood the weight. No romance forced, no demand for touch. It was a call for trust and for steady presence. Heater hummed and the hours bent into one another. Siren tones rose and fell like distant wails. The outpost creaked and settled. Claire checked the vitals in the panel and routed extra power from a drone. Baron watched her with growing quiet when Claire returned to the heater. Orion spoke again through the chip. "I choose you, Claire, of Earth." Claire felt the ground tilt softly. She did not know if this was wise or easy. She only knew that the choice was real and the storm was not. Kin Claire answered with care, "I can stay near, I can listen and keep watch. No harm will come to you while I am here." Arian bowed her head with grave respect. Outside, a support mast snapped, and the whole station rang like a bell. Claire stood and braced the heater with a strap. The lights went thin and then strong again. She felt Arian behind her. Like a steady mountain chip, gave new lines. "The season is not about hunger. The season is about promise. We bind our future strength to the ones who stand with us when winds try to take our name. We remember those who kept us patient. We build our homes with their names carved in the first stone." Claire swallowed and looked at Arian with new light. She saw not a stranger, but a traveler at a hard pass in winter. She thought of all the times humans had stood together in storms, on mountains, ships, deserts, cities. Always the same lesson: do not leave each other alone in the dark. Sat beside Arian and told simple stories. She spoke about her town by the lake, about a dog named Penny who chased leaves in fall, about a teacher called Megan who believed in stubborn kindness, about a friend named Lily who once fixed a Broken snowbike with wire and hope, Arian listened close and breathed in slow time hour. By hour, the storm pressed harder and then began to fall back with each gust Arian would close. Her eyes and steady her hands, the chip said, "The tide is high." Now and then said, "The tide is easing." Claire kept the rhythm with her voice and her presence. She offered warm water and shared a protein. Bar she let silence sit too when words felt like too much. Noise said distant corridor seal failed and released. A sigh that rolled like thunder. Claire stood to check the map, and Arian rose as well. They walked together. Through shadowed hallways lit by thin blue strips in the drone bay, window had cracked, and frost ran like veins across the glass. Claire opened a kit and began to anchor a patch. Her fingers shook from cold and fear and grit. Arian stepped beside her and set both hands near the frame. Her warmth and balance steadied the shape. No touch was needed, no rush was allowed. Beth outclamp here, cinched their hold, steady one. The patch sealed the air, settled into calm. Claire exhaled and felt a wave of quiet. Joy moved through her. Arian glanced at her with a look like sunrise over a calm bay. Not a blaze, not a shout, just a clean light that makes you think the day can be good. Again back at the heater they rested. The chip gave a line that felt like a prayer. The worst of the tide is past now, the choosing must be Markadarian. Took from her belt a small cord woven with pale threads. She set it on the floor between them. She spoke, and the chip said, "This cord is not a chain, it is a bridge. The one who accepts it does not owe me, the one who accepts it walks." Beside McClare felt the weight of that small thing. She thought of her crewmates scattered in other wings. She thought of the envoy that would return when the sky cleared. She thought of her own life and how it was built on small, brave choices. She reached out and held the cord for a breath and then set it. "Back with Correa, except to walk beside you," she said, "as witness and friend and anchor when the world feels too loud." Arian bowed again, and a softness moved across her face, something like relief and trust together. Wind lost its teeth at last, and the first week dawn came pale and thin. Claire opened the bay a little, and fresh air crept in like a shy guest. Snow lay across the valley and smooth. Blankets with silver seams, antenna masts, glowed like spears in a field of frost. Outpost systems woke in small steps. Heat lines resumed. Their hum lights brightened. 2-day mode comes. Blinked to life and messages rolled in like a slow tide. "Are you safe? Status request. Hold position." Claire sent back clear notes. "Safe with guest holding position. System repairs in progress." She kept the details simple, and strong Orion stood at the threshold and looked into the new day. The chip spoke with a new timbre, like a smile found its way into the code. "The season will slow now and pass in 3 dawns. Your name will be in my first stone." Claire felt a glow and a steady courage rise in her Chesterskew cruise. Arrived by midday with sleds and tools, Lily waved from a hatch and called out, "Claire, you stubborn star, you did it again." Claire laughed a tired laugh and helped guide the teams to the cracked window and the weak mast. She introduced Arian with respect and explained the simple truth. "We watched the storm together, and we held the line." The days that followed, the envoy came back. With careful steps, talks began anew, and trade opened like a river freed of ice. And then with officials who wanted signatures and dates through it all, the cord stayed in a small pocket like a quiet stare. In the 3rd dawn, Ariane returned to the service bay where it had started. The heater was off now and the room was bright. She placed her palm on the wall and spoke. The chip said, "The season is past, and the vow stands as a bridge, not a chain. If you walk with me, we will build work that others can trust. If paths must part, we will honor what was held." Here Claire nodded with that same steady calm. She had not asked for a title or a medal, and none were needed. She had stood watch and kept the promise of patience. She had shown what humans do when storms rise, and when a neighbor needs an anchor. They walked out together across the snowdrones. Hovered like curious birds, crew voices rose in warm waves under the weak sun. The valley looked like a fresh page waiting for bold and carrion, lifted her face to the light and breathed deep. Claire did the same and felt the world grow a size larger in her chest. There was work ahead, and unknown miles, and new maps. There was also the simple memory of a night when they chose to be steady instead of afraid nothing, was ever the same after that, not because of fire or noise or spectacle, but because trust had been chosen in the hardest hour, and once you choose trust like that, you do not go back. To the small version of yourself, Outpost gained a new nickname in the pilot channel's Anchor Ridge, a place where wind can howl and hearts stay calm. Aran and Claire became a quiet story people told when storms came down from the high ice. Story about a bridge, not a chain, about a vow that asked for patience, not heat, about two travelers who chose to stand together and found that choice strong enough to change a valley.